professional model of operations. If you were to actually want to make money at this stuff, there is a way. I would urge you to consult page 23, which is actually my ideal session structure. If you were to go into professional practice, you tend to get income streams from a variety of ways. One of which is individual hours. As we said before, there's this temptation when you start out. You figure, oh my God, I've got to get some clients. How can I be a professional hypnotist if I don't have clients? Right? And so you look around and you go, what? I'm going to undercut everybody's price. And you start looking at ads, you start calling on the Yellow Page ads, and you find out what people charge when they are. And by the way, hypnotists hate it when somebody calls up and says, how much do you charge? Right? Because it indicates that someone is fixated on cost, not value. There's a difference between cost and value. And you all know this because you know when you get a good deal, you know when you get a crappy deal. Right? Well, when you find somebody who charges less than anybody else, what do you as a consumer tend to think? Cheap crap, right? There's a reason they're desperate, right? Or for that matter, you ever talk to a salesman who you know really needs to make the sale? I mean, like they got the bad sweat and they just keep going and going. Do you want to buy from them? No. But then again, you run across one of these more successful salespeople who's relaxed, dressed professionally, rolled up in a nice car, gives the pitch, explains the benefits, looks at you confidently. How do you feel? You're dealing with a professional, you feel a little bit better. Okay? When you're starting out, what I would advise you to do is find out the entire range of prices in your market and become the second most expensive hypnotist in town. Right? Because people will throw out the low price, they'll throw out the high price, but if they go to one that's like one notch below, they're getting a deal. Okay? I recommend that you end up somewhere around $150 an hour. Why? It's twice as much as $75. Okay? But think about who else charges $150 an hour? Psychiatrists, lawyers, accountants. What kind of word do we use to describe these people? Professionals. That's right. They're not hobbyists. They're not amateurs. They're professionals, and that's what we want to be. So, you can make it off of individual hours, and these can come either through single sessions, which I do not recommend. A lot of hypnotists will do a wonderful single session and then say, you know what, go on home, enjoy your change. If you feel like you need another one, give me a call. Well, remember when I was talking about context anchors? They go home, they sit on the same sofa where they've been being an idiot for the past 10 years. Family and friends try to tear them down and make them normal again. They're subjected to the stress and strain of everyday life. It's possible that as good as you are, that in 1 hour you cannot counter-effect the conditioning of, say, 30 or 40 years of their life. Yes, Scott?
Do you explain that to them about context anchors?
Oh, I do, all the time, yeah. Because I precondition them, right? And so I suggest, and well, to finish that example, the effect starts to wear off. And they don't sit there and go, you know what, the hypnotic effect is insufficient to overcome 30 years of prior conditioning. They go, this shit doesn't work. And if they feel this shit doesn't work, are they going to call you back for a second session? No. Anytime you run across a hypnotist who says, I have a 100% success rate, ask them what kind of follow-up surveying they do. Okay, and if they say there's no need for it or I don't do it, run away. The reason they feel they have 100% success rate is because their failures don't call back. Their failures are out running around telling at least 10 of their friends that you don't know what you're doing. Right? Have you all seen the research out this? Happy customers tend to relate their story to 4 or 5 people. Unhappy customers, at a minimum, tell 10 people. What kind of ads do you want to create, right? Instead, I always do programs as sessions. Like I said, my programs used to go anywhere from 18 sessions over 9 weeks to 104 sessions over a year. Now, those 104 sessions, these are the people who want to lose 100 pounds. How do we size it? The average human being, when working with a hypnotist on weight management issues, tends to lose between 2 to 3 pounds per week. And so we size the program based on the average response rate. Go ahead and switch that real quick. It's based on, you charge full price for the personal sessions. So in other words, it would be 5 times 150, $750. Okay? You tell them all the other sessions are free. My gift to you. And you spread it out so that the first week we have a live session. How am I going to diagram this? Okay. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Going to do live sessions or tapes. So in week 1, they do a live session and a tape. Week 2, they do a tape. Oops, 2 tapes. Week 3, live session and a tape. So in other words, you can actually load them up so that in the first 2 weeks they have live sessions, week 3 they go to 2 tapes. Just go ahead and do change it, but the idea is you want to start with high impact live sessions. And when they come in to listen to a tape, they're listening to a recording that I made that has to do with the general problem area they're working on. But when they're working with me or one of the staff personally, we're dealing with their personal, specific issues within that general problem area. Does that make sense? So in other words, if you came to see me for weight management, I'd be dealing with your particular challenges in the live session. You come in, you listen to a reinforcement tape that has to do with developing a desire to eat only healthy foods in the right amounts. Eating only foods that have bright, vibrant colors that tend to be as raw as possible. Developing a thirst and a desire for 10 glasses of cool, pure water every day. All the general suggestions, your desire for physical exercise is continually increasing until you reach just the right amount. Things like that. Things that anybody would have to have imprinted in order to make it work. And then you use the live sessions to work with specific issues. Now, if you're doing it correctly, you got them on the right track right after the first week, and everything else tends to be just a reinforcement session. In fact, by the time we get out to like the end of the first month, if I'm doing a live session, 9 times out of 10, it no longer has to do with weight management. Because if they're continuing to report that I'm losing 2 to 3 pounds every week, I feel fine, my energy level is rising, I'm doing my daily reinforcement sessions, because I tape these live sessions and send them home with the tape of the session so they can replay what actually occurred. I mean, the ultimate reinforcement tape is one that reinforces something that has actually occurred. Right? Then by the time we get out here, and if they're still losing weight and heading towards their goal and they're doing everything they're supposed to, I go, you know what? The door's closed. Nobody knows what we're doing in here. What do you want to work on? You want to learn something cool? You want to learn how to improve your study skills, sports performance. Want to learn how to unlock your creativity. That's why I teach them more stuff. I teach them a self-hypnosis along the way, so that by the time they fall off the end of the program, then of course they can go ahead. They know how to structure suggestions. They know how to go in a trance as an act of will, and they can just do it themselves.
would you necessarily teach them self-hypnosis early in the piece, or would you just think the tape's big enough, or?
No, I explicitly teach them self-hypnosis because I want them to have a skill that they can access consciously. I mean, context anchors are kind of insidious things. That they can believe that they'll only go into trance when listening to your recording.
So when would you do that?
Towards the end of the program. Yeah, Tom?
When you're giving them a tape of a session that you did with them, would you give them a tape of like either age regression or what types of sessions would you do?
No. Good point. When I'm doing a session, if I'm doing something like age regression, I don't tape that. But I make sure that I spend at least 20 minutes of them totally zonked out in the chair while I'm giving them this just steady stream of positive suggestion that have to do with them in particular, based on everything they gave me on the intake form and our waking conversation.
Yeah, I figured you didn't want the freak show on there.
No. Regress you every day for the next week. Come waddling back in, diapers full. And then I point to him, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a gesture.
So I'm just looking at maths on this, 104 sessions, $150 a session.
No. Because on this, the 104 sessions, I can't remember how many personal sessions you get out of that, but it's not like 52 or something like that. It's a relatively low amount. What I probably ought to do is, if I remember, or someone reminds me, next time I cycle near my office, which really won't be for a couple weeks, I can dig out the old program sheets and I'll post, for this program or this number of total sessions, how many were live, how many were taped.
Somebody can email me and I can look.
Yeah, that's it. Email Cassie@truecore.com. I mean, she doesn't get a fraction of the mail I do, and she's actually much nicer than I am, so she'll go ahead and reply. Where I mean, honest to God, I've got this. It is true. Yeah, and I've got this thing inside my head where I'll read someone's message and I go, "Damn, that's interesting." Okay, and I think about how I would reply if I did reply, and then in my mind, I'm done. I mean, the actual physical part is kind of disconnected there. It's very similar to my autistic marketing method. Information comes into the office, no information goes out. You should probably coach me on my marketing. Yeah, I'm disabled. Okay, here we go. Any other questions about this? Real quick? Yeah.
So for 8 sessions, how many sessions do you have that are live? About 5?
5, typically. Okay. Your average client doesn't need that many live sessions, but they need guidance and support during the time necessary to ensure that their life has changed and they're certain that they can go on their own. Now, we also tell them, they get a performance guarantee, which is we guarantee that by the end of your program, you will have, and you will believe you have, the change that you requested and we agreed upon. There is some fine print that says they must do what we tell them to do during these sessions. And that's why every time my session notes, I sit down and write down, have they been listening to their tape? Have they been doing the exercises? Are they doing the right thing? Because if they just want to just jerk me around and, set out to fail and then come back and try to make a claim on the guarantee, whip out the session notes. That's funny, on your third session, you said that you gave up listening to the tape because you just didn't like it. Okay? You didn't follow instructions. Keep your money. Okay? Now, we don't actually, it doesn't say that on the guarantee. Okay? But the guarantee is not that they get their money back. Their guarantee is that we will continue to work with them until that they self-validate, until they have a change. Now, some clients have the misguided idea that it sounds like a good thing. Okay? However, if I have to work with someone because they're making a claim on the guarantee, they're no longer working with Mark the compassionate therapist. Okay, they're now getting introduced to Major Mark the high impact therapist. Okay, Because an infinite claim on my time and services is a pretty heavy burden. And when interns were in my shop, man, I just slapped the shit out of these guys to make sure that they were doing rapid, powerful, permanent change. Because otherwise, these clients had a claim on me. And that makes no sense. But the flip side of a guarantee is you always, as a business person, you give a guarantee that sounds fantastic, feels really reassuring, but you don't seriously expect to have to honor the guarantee. That's the whole point. A really great guarantee is one that sounds fantastic, gives a sense of security, but you don't seriously expect to ever have to honor it. If you had to regularly honor your guarantee, you'd go out of business. Any business would go out of business. So it's there to reassure the client that, oh, by the way, I am going to get it. And they change faster when they believe, oh, by the way, I am going to get it. Right? But nobody stops their program until they say themselves, I've got to change. It's the change you negotiated in the evaluation session when they were talking about the reporting problem and you told them what is possible. You say, if you lose 2 to 3 pounds a week over this amount of time, would that be okay? Yes. And then you both sign it. Contracts. Yes?
Okay, the 18 sessions, is that just for the weight loss?
That's for anything. That's for anything. Okay. Now, the 9 weeks, if it was for weight management, you can only do that if they want to lose like 20 pounds or less. Do the math. 2 to 3 pounds a week. Okay? Pick the lower end of the scale and size your program that way. Okay? Now, we didn't have an infinite number of programs. I think we had maybe 5 total programs in terms of duration for various purposes. And so, to a certain extent, it was a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. But we would say, you know what, we have this family of products and services, and for what you want and the way humans normally respond to hypnosis, you would fit best within this. You will have clients who will reach their goal halfway through their program. Okay? They don't get their money back. They get more fun hypnosis sessions. I teach them how to hypnotize people. You know, I'll bring them in, I'll show them my product tapes. You know? You don't get what are you laughing about? Yeah. You never ever give them money back, you give them value instead. And in fact, we underpromise and overdeliver. Our clients always feel like they got more than their money's worth by the time they're done. Now, someone may have mentioned that while they were in trance, but yeah.
Would you use that as carrot?
What?
And get it done?
Yeah.
We can go on with other stuff.
Sure. We tell them that, you know, a lot of people change faster than others. We never say people change slower than others. Yes, Mark. You know? Some people change faster than others, and for those people, we've got some really fun stuff we can teach them. Show me that you can actually perform at that level, and we'll do some really cool stuff. Okay? Yes?
What sort of stuff did you let the interns do?
Regular sessions, everything. Okay? Just like pump their confidence up, arm them with a body of solid technique. They come in and they would observe me for 20 hours. Okay? And then we put them in the hypnotist chair and I'd observe them for 1 or 2 sessions. But by that time I got a pretty good idea whether they're going to be any good or not. Okay? And then we just turn them loose. Okay? The intern sessions are always recorded for later review and legal protection, things like that. Yes, ma'am.
Is that audio recording or video?
We did audio. I actually recommend video if you can afford it. Okay? I mean, hypnotists get sued sometimes. You get sued by psychologists because you're making too rapid change. But you can get sued by clients who have false memories or have some kind of sexual trauma that had nothing to do with what you're working with, and they claim to remember that you groped them in trance, or somebody's husband will call up and say, you know, you must be having sex with my wife because she's no longer interested in having sex with me. You know, whatever it is, what I found is that if you have a videotape of the individual sessions, opposing lawyers just hate this, because they call up and say, Mr. Cunningham, we're going to be taking you to court for what you did in that session. And my response is, cool. And they're like, do you understand the gravity of the charge? I go, yeah, we'll bring the session tape. See you there. What's your name? Okay. The actual video record of a session is incontrovertible truth about what happened. And you can buy video recorders out there that give an accurate timestamp. It's easily determined whether somebody has monkeyed with the tape at all. So I highly, highly recommend it. You should talk to your insurance provider, and they'll tell you what you ought to do. Listen to your insurance agent. Okay. So, individual hours, either as single sessions or programs. Obviously, you can expand on that by having a staff, but you need to think about what kind of business you want. You need to think at the outset of what kind of business you want, because before you actually open your doors, you have all the freedom in the world to plan and determine what it is you want to do. Once you run your first ad, the phone starts to ring, it's too fucking late. You're off and running, and the biggest mistake helping professionals make is they build themselves a job rather than a business. If you want to have a small practice, it can be highly lucrative, you can control your time, and it's just you. You are the staff, you're also the idiot boss, you're the whole shebang. As soon as you start adding staff, you have to manage people, right? Running a business is a piece of cake. Managing people is a pain in the ass. Especially, all those advanced staff are going, oh yeah, that's true, yeah. Especially since you see these people more than your friends and family. You see them 8 hours every work day, minimum 40 hours a week, which means they start telling you about all their sexual troubles and their relationship troubles, and they start imposing on you for special favors or special treatment because after all, we were okay, we're friends and all this stuff. And it's like, screw employees. I'm onto something here. No. In our current incarnation, we have no employees. There's me, Cassie, and a whole host of contractors. Yeah, but you can add to your cash flow by adding staff and thus adding capacity, bringing in more clients. Now, when you're running a business, you've got to remember there is a difference between the business's income and your income, right? And so when you're doing your math and you say, okay, $150 an hour, and there's theoretical possibility of 2,000 work hours, holy shit, this starts looking like real money. Well, there are these things called governments, okay? And they want a big chunk out of everything you make. And then you have landlords, you have utility providers, you have insurance agents, you have unexpected contingencies, you have burnout, where you go, screw it, I just need to, not see anybody for a week. And oh, by the way, if you're a solo practitioner and you don't see anybody for a week, what happened to your income? Zero. Zip. Nada. Considered a bad thing in business. Okay? But if you want to increase capacity, you can, in fact, do it by adding staff. But you might want to do something like adding multiple income streams. Okay? Those of you who here went and saw Ron's little demo thing in his room the other night. Okay, do you realize how much money you can make off of what he showed you? Okay, because here you have session dollars, but we already know there's a cap on that, right? But then you can add in what I call ancillary product lines. Right? Let's say you have somebody who wants to work on improving their golf game. You can go ahead and do some sessions with them, convince them that they're Tiger Woods. And it's funny, you do deep trance identification with sports stars and people, and they go out and all of a sudden they're just playing like a freaking maniac. It's great. I had this one woman come to me and she was just like pissed because she was a golfer and she kept doing these charity tournaments with her husband. And being a kind, loving husband, he would mock her unmercifully about how he beat her like a gong every time they went out and played golf, Yeah, I mean, this is the no sex forever strategy. You know? And so she came in, and her goal, her sole goal, was to take some strokes out of her game so she could just show up the husband on the course. Right? Not the best motivation, but powerful, so we can work with that. And so, female golfer, role model, she liked Nancy Lopez. Okay, Nancy Lopez, famous pro golfer, very competent. Deep transidentification, out there on a course, reading the fairway, same way as Nancy. Reading the greens, doing the chips and the approach shots, just the same way as Nancy Lopez. Does it looping, deeply embedding it. Next week to go out to play golf, she takes 16 strokes off her game. Okay? Husband is pissed. I don't care. She's my client. Right? Okay. But you do things like you do individual sessions, and then you develop a line of supporting products. I highly recommend that you learn to do recordings. Recordings are the kind of thing, it's like you write up this real nice induction full of really positive general suggestions having to do with the topic matter at hand. And you run these things anywhere from, I don't know, I've seen them as short as 25 minutes, but I am personally incapable of only talking 25 minutes. As you have gathered, as the week has gone on, right? If you listen to my recordings, they tend to go anywhere between 35 and 50 minutes. Your average CD will hold 60 minutes. Okay, plenty of time. And I happen to think my 50-minute recording just kicks ass, but not everybody is willing to dedicate an hour to personal change, which I think is pretty fucking funny, but it's just the way it is. Okay, so the magic number appears to be right around 40 to 45 minutes, where you can get the maximum impact and they'll actually tolerate it and listen to it. But the cool thing about products is when you do an individual session, you actually have to do every individual session, right? But if you make a recording, you spend a couple hours writing it, an hour or 2 hours recording variants of it till you get one you really like, and then you're done. You can sell it for anywhere between 15 to 25 bucks forever, right? Now, you're going to have to come up with a series of recordings if you're going to be doing programs and sessions, because you have to have something they can listen to anyway. You can sell them the recordings that they were just listening to. Ask them as they're coming out of the room, they just had a fantastic session sitting there listening to it, and just, oh yeah, I feel all relaxed. Did you enjoy that? Did you know you can buy that CD? It's only 15 bucks. Okay, but that 15 bucks, to duplicate a CD these days costs anywhere like $1.35 to $1.50. And so we price products at minimum of 10 times the manufacturing cost. Those of you who have business training, is 10 times manufacturing cost a good margin? Oh, hell yeah. Most businesses would kill to have something like a 12 to 13% profit margin. And here you're doing a 90% profit margin. And you can sell them all day, every day. You might even put up a store, sell them on the internet. I know guys who do that. Okay, so recordings are possible. A lot of hypnotists do things like, there are vitamin companies out there that actually have high quality products. And they tend to be niche market manufacturers. They're not the, I can't even think of them like Solgar or something like that, the big names, okay, but these niche products are not only higher quality, but a lot of them will do custom formulations for you. Or they have custom formulations available. In fact, I was approached by this one company towards the end of our last clinic, and if we hadn't been phasing out the actual bringing client parts, I would have signed up with them in a heartbeat, because they actually have you send in blood samples, okay, which are then analyzed for their biochemical content, and they come back with a custom vitamin formulation for your client, which means it's highly likely to work great and have immediate results, which results in really happy clients And oh, by the way, you get to sell those at a markup as well. Okay? You can do things like sell mind machines. I know people who sell exercise equipment. I never actually did this myself, but I know people who represent exercise equipment include things like these little mini trampolines. Because NASA came up with a lot of research about the health benefit from just bouncing on these things. I mean, it's weird, but it's true. Drains your lymph system, builds your balance and all this cool stuff. So you can sell products. You can have ancillary services. Such as health and wellness classes. Because while it's all well and good and lucrative to do remedial work, remedial meaning the damage has already occurred, so now we have to fix it. You can also train these people how to be healthy in the first place. And so at one point we had this series of health and wellness lectures. There were 14 lectures, and you can charge these people as an additional service to come in, okay? You can do fee split services. Let's say that you have, a high-quality massage therapist that you know, okay? And you know that your clients would actually genuinely benefit from getting professional massage. You go to your massage therapist and say, I tell you what, for no marketing cost to you whatsoever, I will mention to my clients while they're in trance that being massaged, well, the sales pitch goes better that way, okay? That a good quality, regular massage will change their life for the better. You might mention to them about chiropractic science, about how getting an adjustment is going to totally change how you move through the world. And then I refer my clients out to, whatever this fee split professional is, and I get a fee split back. And all I have to do is recommend a product or service that I genuinely support and agree with. Right? The best sales pitch is for something you actually believe is true. Right? Public appearances. There are many, many groups that are looking for professionals to come in and speak. Now, it may be something like your local Kiwanis or Rotary Club. They're not going to pay you anything, but you get perceived authority by standing up, talking about what's possible, give them a little teaser, okay, raise their hopes, mention that you sell these services when they come in. There are groups who will pay you to show up and speak because they're going to make money off the gate. And so they'll pay you a fixed fee to show up and talk or show up and do something. And they take the differential. You understand what I mean by they take the gate? They charge X dollars a head. They pay you a fixed fee, and they charge X dollars a head, and the more people they attract into the room, then that's cool. Now, I'll go anywhere for a speaking fee because what happens when you're up there is the perceived authority. They come back to you. I mean, forget the host organization. They come back to whoever impressed them most. Okay? But one of the most lucrative things that any hypnotist can possibly do, stage hypnosis. The field of stage hypnosis is actually getting kind of crowded right now because there are a lot of magicians who figured out, a lot of comedians who figured out that, I mean, you go to the comedy clubs, right, and you see these guys, these traveling comedians who are not quite on the A-list yet, and so they're traveling to all these little comedy clubs all over North America. Do you know how much those guys get paid? It's like anywhere between $150 to $300 plus expenses. A lot of starving comics, a lot of starving magicians out there. A hypnotist gets booked into the same club. You know what he gets paid? Anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000. Ooh, suddenly that starts to sound pretty good. How many sessions do you have to do to make $3,000? You want to spend 20 hours or 2 hours? Okay? I'm not saying this because we do stage training. We do stage training because hypnotists need to learn how to do this stuff. Okay? And oh, by the way, I can guarantee you, you go out and do a 2-hour stage show, and everybody is laughing, having a wonderful time, and you got people up there on stage doing all these amazing things. I mean, where all my convincers come from? Stage work. Where my brashness comes from? Stage work. Okay? You can do things on stage for entertainment that, screw ethics. I mean, like, we are right off the fucking reservation at that point. You got them singing, dancing, spitting, doing all kinds of wild things. Put them on the love sofa, give them multiple kinds of things you can do up there. And I guarantee you that for every stage show you do that's a successful, fun show, you're going to get 5 to 10 paying clients out of it. Because they figure, if you can do that in public, no setup, no props, oh hell, you're powerful enough to work with my stuff. You can't really do shock inductions on recordings. Hold the CD up to your forehead and shout, sleep! No, but in a recording, I'm always using background music. I'm using entrainment music. So I talk about, well, you've heard my CDs, right? It starts out with General Welcome. I'm Mark Kanningem Today, along with master musician Denver Clay. We will take you in the most relaxing, therapeutic experience possible. Good subjects sit in a comfortable chair in a place where they will not be physically interrupted during the course of this recording. They'll sit with their eyes closed, listening only through stereo headphones so that you can get the full benefit. But in the meantime, this alpha music is playing in the background, okay? And then I start giving explicit suggestions for relaxation, telling them they're going into trance, the fact that they should listen to it, or that they're going to hear the music but not really listen to it. So you hear it like it's like background noise, but you're not listening consciously, trying to figure out what I say so that the suggestions, commands can actually penetrate even deeper. Take all the time you need over the next few seconds to go as deep into relaxation as you possibly can. And then you use your tonality and pacing along with the entrainment music to just jolly them down into a trance state.
So the second half of the question, you were saying, for example, a mind machine and apparently Denver also is designed to take the subject from theta into different levels of trance. How do you, is there a specific way of matching your suggestions and if you're saying the recorded induction with the music that's currently playing?
If you listen to my CDs, you'll find that my tonality and pacing matches the music exactly, right? I mean, I don't want to have any kind of disconnect between me and the entrainment effect at all. Yeah, but in terms of the suggestions they're giving, no, as far as I can tell, it doesn't make any difference at all where you're giving the suggestions.
As long as the voice and the music are at the same pace,
yes,
then you're fine.
And keep talking the entire time. Okay, the only time I pause is when I tell them I'm going to pause. Right? And even then, I don't pause for very long. Okay? You need to be multidisciplinary. I urge all of you, even though you have just received the world's best training in hypnosis, I urge you to cross-train. Go find an NLP trainer who actually makes their living off of doing NLP sessions. So they're not just regurgitating training for money, but actually their income depends on their personal success in the session room. Learn NLP. Okay? You may have gathered I'm not real big on metaphor. I mean, I use metaphor and all that, but I don't lead with it. I tend to be extremely direct. But go train in the Ericksonian model. Find someone who is old school and go get trained in direct suggestion methods. Okay? Learn things like EFT, Reiki, all the other forms of disguised hypnosis. just love throwing those little editorial remarks there. But because you don't know what the people are going to respond best to before you start talking to them, or they may come in preconditioned. They may come in asking for EFT because they read about it, or their cousin got great results with it, whatever. Okay, and you probably ought to be able to say, sure, we can do that. If they actually know something about EFT, then you actually have to know something about EFT. If they don't, you say, oh yeah, I do that all the time. Close your eyes. Okay, if you want to cross-train, because if nothing else, you'll start to develop this Mark mindset of you start to notice the commonality across all these disciplines. And you start to go, you know what? I've seen that before. I know how to do it this way. I know how to do it this way. And you can just, like we did with the belief systems, you know, cross out the things that don't fit and then just refer, just like simmers, boils down into these core techniques that are unique for you. And you start to develop your own personal style. And if your personal style is very effective, people start asking questions, and then more people start gathering around. Next thing you know, you're a trainer. Okay? I say, wait until you've got a lot of clinical work under your belt before you go out and be a trainer. I've had students take my seminars, and without doing a cynical hypnosis, without doing a single clinical session, they'll go out and build themselves as trainers. I mean, one guy came and took my stage class in Bangkok and went back to England and built himself as the world's most effective hypnosis trainer. And he's actually built a following. He hasn't done anything original in his life. And in fact, when I read his materials, I read his materials for the comedic effect. You know? But for people who don't know, they read his ads, they see he's all over the internet, and oh my God, you know, he's the world's most famous hypnosis trainer. Don't do that. I mean, well, it may make you money in the short run, but you're shortchanging your clients, you're stunning your own growth, you're pissing me off. Okay, just don't go there. Do it honestly, it's better. Okay? I also want you to consider professionalism. By professionalism, I mean get yourself professional office space. You may have to look for a while, but we're in this office building that has a lot of small practitioners. We've got doctors, psychiatrists, we've got the Rolfer down there, we've got a lot of massage therapists, we've got architects, home builders, a lot of different professional firms in this one office building. And then there's us. But you can get amazing deals sometimes. The reason I wanted to be in that building is that suburbanites are comfortable coming into this building to see a dentist, a doctor, a psychiatrist, whatever. Okay, it's just where professionals hang out. But within this building, remember I told you about how our office space is actually built out over the driveway, so it's kind of hanging out, and it's like this apostrophe, some kind of, you know, literally an afterthought. I mean, the building owner goes, geez, you know, I've got airspace that's unutilized, and so he builds an office suite in there. Most of the office space in our building goes between $13 and $18 a square foot. Okay? You know how to calculate rents, right? You take the value per square foot, multiply it by the square footage, divide that number by 12, and that's your monthly rent. Okay? $13 to $18 is kind of a stiff amount for most people, especially when they're starting out. Okay? We have 1,100 square feet built out into lobby, session rooms, classroom, bathroom, kitchenette. We're paying a little over $500 a month for it. All utilities included. Yeah. We call this in that trade a good deal. Okay? Now, it could be because I'm a hypnotist. It could be because we spent pretty much close to 4 months looking for office space when we were setting up this particular office. And I looked all over Hellengone, and it turns out in this particular place, the city was quarreling with the landlord about what was supposed to happen with that office space built out, hanging in midair. Now, the city was irritated because they said people driving by couldn't see across the parking lot to see this piddly-ass little stream that's running behind the building. I mean, it is back there, and there is some foliage and all that, but my personal suspicion is people are not commuting past, looking over here, trying to see the freaking stream, okay? So the landlord, of course, would never want to do anything that cost him money, so he's arguing with the city, and while this was in limbo, the office space was open. And so we went in, and it was a little run down. Paint was kind of dirty, a few chips here and there, and the carpet looks like people have been walking on it for the past 20 years without the benefit of vacuum cleaning, okay? But we're hypnotists. Our clients spend their entire time with their eyes closed, okay? So we're not that concerned about the high quality decor, and because it was in legal limbo, they decided to rent it to us month to month. At that point, we started out as $500 a month.
Less than that.
Less than that, 450, something like that? Yeah. Okay. Just to get some money out of it. And we went month to month for a little over 3 years until the landlord finally figured out, oh, but, this looks like the city is not going to make me tear this thing off. So he forced us into a lease, but he couldn't legally change. I mean, it works out to be like $5 or $6 a square foot, something like that.
We're at $5.95 right
$5.95 right now, but even so, it was like $5 or $6 a square foot, less than a third of what he would charge anywhere else. And he couldn't just jack it up 300% because he knew he'd get sued. So we locked in the lease at the extremely low rate. And now he's stuck because he can only raise the lease rate X amount, small percentage, every 3 years. So on one hand, he's kind of happy somebody's in the space, but I'm sure it just frosted him every time he thinks about it because everybody else is paying big bucks. You can find these deals if you look. You have to know what you want. You have to search for it, manifest it. Hey, make a picture out in the future. Make it real, okay? What would it be like? And then go ahead. But professional office space is really, really important.
Sell the landlord a hypnosis tape.
No, then he'd ream me. That's not a good idea. What an extraordinarily bad suggestion. Within your office, spend a little money on decor. Okay? My highest ambition was to have our office look like a dentist office. Why? Everybody's accustomed to going to the dentist. You walk in and it's like all beige and bland. And like I say, the only thing we changed is we didn't have the pastoral landscapes or the abstract art. Instead, we went ahead and took our testimonials from before and after pictures and blew them up and hang them on the wall. So that everywhere you look, I mean, the only way you could avoid testaments to success was to just sit there with your eyes closed. And it was all over the lobby. It's all over the hallways to the session rooms. Inside the session rooms, we had at least 3 of these hanging up on the walls. Cassie was trained so that when people would be coming in, first thing she said, hey, good to see you again. What kind of success have you had since last time? Okay? And if they said, well, you know what, I didn't lose any weight last week, my loving wife would get all stern and say, are you doing what Mark told you to do? And I'd come out and she's like, Rrr! I said, come on in here. This is a kinder, gentler room in here. Right? Yeah.
This might be too specific a question, but do you know anyone that's had a live-work loft? And would it be okay, or do you see any problems like being so close to your office that you can just never get away? Like a live-work loft, so this is
Yeah,
like
I would never, in a professional setting, see clients in my own home. I know a lot of people start out that way. The legal liability issues are enormous. Okay?
You separated, like the whole bottom floor was office and the whole upstairs was, they never.
It's possible, but the temptation is to allow work to take over your life. Our office is close by. It's within walking distance of our house. In fact, we drive and it's kind of pathetic because the car like almost warms up by the time we get to the office. But I would highly recommend that you keep them separate, if only for your own sanity. Like I say, you want to have a clear separation. It's going to be hard enough to detox once you start doing 6-8 sessions a day. I mean, you want to get a little distance and make sure that you've got your work and your life, and they don't just simply become one. Another aspect of professionalism is marketing. Marketing is the art and science of figuring out what people are willing to pay money for and then selling it to them. Marketing is not the same as advertising. Marketing is making a cold-blooded decision to look at your environment and say, who here is willing to spend a lot of money on feeling good, right? Your ideal hypnosis client is female, between the age of 30 and 55, relatively high education, married, high disposable income. Now, you may say to yourself, well, Mark, how can I find these people? Talk to every publication in your area. They'll all give you demographics about who buys their publication. Okay? Now, you still have to experiment. For example, we had a publication in town called Modern Parent, and their demographic was women, 30 to 55, college educated, high income. I'm going, holy cow, this is perfect. We placed an ad in there. We could have gotten more gratification by just sitting home ripping up $100 bills. Okay? Why? I skipped a step. If they are in fact modern parents, where are they spending their money? Kids. Okay? And even though they might be desperate to get back to their pre-pregnancy figure or whatever it is they want to work on, they just don't have the money because those fucking little parasites are just sucking the dollars out of their pocket. That's right, I'm not a breeder. I'm unlikely to be. Okay? So, we instead found another publication where we actually had to spend more money to place the ad, but we were getting a very, very strong response. We started out by placing little 2x2 ads, 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay? And some of my students have come up with brilliant 2x2 ads. There's this guy who was out in Boston. He was running weight management programs, and his 2x2 ad says, "You're fat and it is your fault." Okay? He read me this over the phone, and I thought, oh my God, this is never going to work, and it worked like a good charm for him.
Did you get more men clients with that curriculum?
No, it's still women. Still women. But there are a lot of women out there who think that it is their fault. Okay, and guess what, it is, but I mean, normally you don't say that right up front, right? You're fat and it is your fault. He's brash. Okay? Yeah, but typically in a 2x2 ad, all you have really room for is some kind of cool little picture, happy smiling face. Oh yeah, this is what hypnosis did for me, right? And then some kind of claim taken out of their testimonials. Okay, the thing is, here in the States, there's this thing called the Federal Trade Commission, and one of the many things they do is they regulate advertising claims. And if you, as the hypnotist, say it's fast and easy, the government can sue you. Because according to the law, if you make an advertising claim, you have to prove that it's true of all possible consumers. Can you prove that it's fast and easy for all people? No. But if Betty Boop, your successful client, says, I used Marknosis, and it was fast and easy. In fact, it made me taller, my breasts got bigger, and people are chasing me down the street. Okay? Somewhat extreme, a little bit more extreme claim. It's a testimonial. She's talking about her own experience. Your clients can say anything, and you are legally in the clear, which is why you want to talk to your clients all the time about what you've been waiting for this, haven't you? Right? He's been following me around for seminar after seminar. Will you please talk about testimonial elicitation? Okay? I kept a little Radio Shack, little handheld tape recorder right next to the session chair in every session room. Because someone would come in and say, hi, how have you been since the last time I saw you? They start to say, oh my God, you know what? I've gone through so many amazing changes. You go, wait a minute, do you mind if I tape this? Click it on. So tell me what's going on. Well, you know what? You said I was going to lose 2 to 3 pounds. I lost 5 pounds in the first week. I've been averaging about 4 pounds. My hair's thicker. My skin's clearing up. This is fantastic. I never thought it'd be so easy. That's great. Click. Give it to the staff, have them type it up, and the next time they come in, say, you know what, this is what you said last time. Is this accurate? Yeah. You want to just sign this? Okay, cool. That goes into the session records. So you're getting testimonials along the way. And then for your high response clients, at the end of their program, you debrief them. I've got a series of over 100 questions that I would ask clients about how easy was it? How much faster than you expected? They go, oh my God, it was much faster than I expected. Okay, and then what you do is you take all these responses, you cannot change the literal wording legally, but you can rearrange the order. So you can just like start to put together this narrative using all these fantastic claims. Right? I used an example earlier in the class about, oh yeah, I used to feel fat and ugly, you know. My husband would rather hit himself in the brick rather than, you know, give me any sex. You know, I was despondent. I mean, the dog wouldn't come near me, you know, life was over. And then I discovered hypnosis, okay? And now everything is better. You know, I went from a size 13 to a size 4. Okay, it was like money is showering from the skies, construction workers are whistling at me as I walk by. I mean, all this kind of stuff. And so you just string all this together, add in a before picture, and you ask them for the crappiest before picture they've got. Okay, and then, especially for the women, I mean, think about it. When I first started talking to people about how you do after pictures, people were going, oh my God, that sounds expensive. Not compared to how much money a really powerful testimonial ad can bring in. So you do something like you take one of your really successful clients, especially a woman with a compelling story, buy her a new dress. Take her down to your local mall, to the big department store, to the makeup counter. You know, they all do makeup for free. They will. I mean, those of you who've ever gotten ready for a wedding or something like that, you just go down to the makeup counter, they'll do you up to the nines, you tip them, okay? But it's just a pittance. And they'll do you up professionally. Get their hair done, take a professional photographer, get a glamour shot done. And so you've got crapola before, glamour after, okay? Stick those two things in, have the text flow around it. Oh my God, it's the world's most compelling ad. We would run these things, we ended up running full page newspaper ads. It cost us about $7,500 a shot. Cassie would absolutely poop her pants every time she had to write the check because it really violated the no money going out rule, okay? But for every ad like that we would run, you typically get about 10 times your money back. This is a good thing. I mean, even if I was only getting twice my money back, I'd do that deal all day, every day, yeah.
You need to have them sign release for when you're putting in advertising.
That's correct. You have to have a signed version of their testimonial on file. Most publications will ask to see it.
But also permissions about using their image or anything like that?
It'd be a good idea. It never came up as an issue. By the time they agree to be part of a testimonial ad, I mean, actually, they think they're doing Gone with the Wind, you know, so. Seymour.
Yeah. Did you use the word hypnosis in the ads?
Yes. Hypnosis was all through the ads. We never said hypnotherapy. We never said therapy. Why? I don't especially feel like painting a bullseye on my butt. Okay? There are things that you cannot do as a hypnotist. They do therapy because they want to help. They want to heal. It's the kind of person who's attracted to this kind of lifestyle. Nobody goes into hypnosis for the money because most hypnotists starve because they aren't doing any of this stuff. Okay? But You cannot do therapy. Legally, you cannot treat neurosis. You cannot treat psychosis. You cannot treat phobias. You cannot treat organic disorders. Is hypnosis of use in any of these things? Yes. Simple, powerful, effective. But you can't say you're doing it. Never, ever, ever tell your clients, the publications that are carrying your ads, your attorney, anyone else's attorney, just do not mention therapy at all. I always told people that I'm a trainer, right? Now, it has the advantage of there is no licensing requirement for trainers. Yeah.
You might want to also avoid the word treat.
Treat? Yeah. You can't treat, you can't heal. But I can train you how your mind works. I can introduce you to the marvels, the magic of hypnosis. And if while you are learning how to do this and you're going through the exercises just the way I taught you, using your reporting problem as an example, if at the end of your program your reporting problem went away, well, hey, it's amazing how serendipity works, right? But I promise you that in these days, in this modern litigious society, and I don't know, maybe it's different in the UK, yeah, but here, you start saying you're doing therapy, you're a target. You're a volunteer. What's that? If you are a therapist, then go ahead and say so. Okay? If what you are is a hypnotist, garden variety hypnotist, little shrub hypnotist, like all the rest of us there, okay? Just don't say therapy. The thing is, people are fascinated by hypnosis. I can't tell you how many hypnosis students come to me and go, oh, I don't know, I can't really tell people I'm a hypnotist. They're going to give me a bad reaction. And because of the power of hypnosis, when they go out expecting a bad reaction, what do they get? Bad reaction. Am I at all shy about being a hypnotist? Oh, hell no. Who here wants to feel good? Right? I never get a bad reaction about hypnosis. I constantly run across people who are fascinated by it, especially since so few people understand what the hell it is. They think it's some kind of miracle work, some kind of magic, and they all want to be part of it. They all want to experience it. So in our ads, it explicitly says hypnosis. In these big full-page ads, it'll say hypnosis 3 or 4 times. The more outrageous your client claim, the more calls you're going to get. Right? Remember I told you about, these women who are coming in and they pull this ragged, tattered ad and just cut on all the creases because they've been looking at it and wishing and hoping and wanting. Okay? I mean, they will come to you for fulfillment of their deepest, darkest desires or their wildest hopes. But they do it based on the testimonial, not the method. Okay? If you had one of those killer testimonial ads with all these amazing claims, and they said it was because I used the left-handed shamanic Roto-Rooter method, they'd still come in. Because they want, honest to God, they come in, and you say, what are you here for? They don't say, I want this. And they're pointing to the after picture and the testimony, and that's all they want. Okay? If you did it with the left-handed shamanic Roto-Rooter method, cool, because they got the result. Okay? Which actually for most people, a left-handed shamanic Roto-Rooter method is not that much stranger than hypnosis. Okay? I used to try to explain to everyone how it works, why it's wonderful. Nobody gives a shit. They really don't. All they want is shut up. Can we do the change? How fast can I get this? Okay, which is why all the advertising, even starting with the small ones, are testimonial claims.
With her example, if you say you can't do phobias, and she has, when I go to testimonial, my phobia is gone, what if someone calls up and says, here it is, this is what I want, they're asking you if you can do it.
That's correct. And you tell them, you know what, we don't treat phobias. I can show you how phobias start.
Okay.
I can show you how the mechanism works. I can show you how you can take control of your own mind and do anything you want, make any change you want. Would you like that? They go, will my phobia go away? I go, other people's phobias go away. But even in the session room, I will never make the claim that I'm treating something that I cannot legally do. Why do you suppose lawyers, doctors, competitors will send ringers into your session room? If you're making money, they will. Do you have your hand up, John?
No.
You're just kind of waving at me?
One of them.
Oh, okay. Appearance. As you may have gathered, I am fond of tropical shirts. I do not dress this way in the session room. I don't wear suits. Whenever I wear a suit, they do call me Dr. Cunningham. Okay? But I'll wear slacks, a shirt, and a tie. No scent. Unscented soap. No aftershave. No cologne. Be careful with your shampoo. You never know what kind of sensitivity people are going to have. Ladies, okay, skirt, hose, heels, pantsuit, something like this. Something nice. You know this professional casual thing we got going on now, okay? When they first started doing Casual Fridays, people started showing up in ripped blue jeans and old t-shirts, and they had to back up and say, well, what we meant to say was something that was a little bit more professional. You have to give a professional image, otherwise they think that you aren't professional. And again, we're back into this, oh my God, I'm wasting my money on this person kind of thing. Your appearance is really important. Okay, keep your hair neatly trimmed. Don't have hair sticking out of places that people don't normally have hair sticking out of. Okay. Try to comport yourself as a professional. Use common civility. Don't talk like I do in the seminar room, unless you are brash, as I am. Okay? I just talk like this, but nobody cares because it's just me. And oh, by the way, while you're listening to me saying fuck like it's a comma, you know, then you're also experiencing very rapid change. And that's all that people care about. Okay? And finally, what you have to aim at is, and this sounds kind of silly, but you got to be profitable. When you sit down to figure out just how I'm going to do this, and I advise you to work out carefully on paper how your practice is going to work before you actually go out and start booking office space and buying telephones and stuff like this. Do you understand what profitable means? It doesn't mean break even. You know, it doesn't mean I covered my bills. It doesn't even mean I covered my bills and paid my salary, and isn't that cool? It means that after I've covered all of my expenses and I've paid myself a good living income and I've set aside my contingency fund, because your practice is going to go up and down. Your client load is going to go up and down. You have to factor into your pricing enough money to carry over the slack periods. And then on top of that, you need to have extra money, because that's your profit. And if you aren't generating profit, you don't yet have a business, you only have a job. That's why when people say, oh my God, I can't charge $150. I go, let's sit down and do the math. And if you're not charging somewhere around that level, you're going to be scrambling all the time. You're going to be tense. You're going to be anxious. You're going to place one of these ads, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to stare at the fucking phone like it's a snake. You know, ring, ring. I need you to ring, or else it's the poorhouse this month. Right? Which means you're not going to be helping anybody. If you are not doing well, you cannot do good. If you want to do good, you have to do well at the same time. You got to make money just like any other professional. I mean, how are you going to take time off to come to my seminars? Right? You got to be able to afford this. Got to be able to afford the plane fare, you know, our also reasonable tuition costs, all these kinds of things. Right? You have to cross-train with other people. Right? You got to cover the times when, I mean, maybe you get a sinus infection and you can't work. In my line of work, our line of work, if you can't talk, you can't work. Okay? American Sign Language hypnosis is not perfected yet. Okay? You must, in fact, be capable and willing of making a profit. I can't tell you how many people who launch off in our line of work because they sincerely want to help people and they think making profit is something wrong. Right? I'm a healer. I'm not supposed to be charging money. Yeah.
ask you for a little story about when you started?
Why did you shake your head no while you're saying this? You did. You said, can I ask you? No. Go ahead.
It's good.
Or a little story from you about when you started out, when did you have a business plan in place, when did you start turning profit, how much money did you put into it?
We started our last clinic with $5,000. I wouldn't recommend it.
You say your last one, how about when you were newly a hypnotist?
Newly a hypnotist? Oh, just like everybody else, I tried to do it for nothing. Okay? I spent money on printing up business cards. I thought, you know what? I'll have a unique and powerful, totally unique marketing approach. I'll make a threefold brochure. Okay? And so on the front, I had, the title of the clinic, and I had this, cheap public domain little graphic. And you opened it up, and it had a few paragraphs about the wonders of hypnosis, and then one of the pages listed all the things you can use hypnosis for, and on the back page was all the contact information. And I spent a wad and printed up like 1,000 of these and dropped them off in office buildings and put them up on bulletin boards and, left them laying on counters at restaurants. I mean, I even did things like go into restaurants, I'd leave piles of them in the restrooms. I mean, it's like any place people might congregate, And I got how many calls? Zip, nada, nothing. Okay? So then I thought, okay, it must be, some misapprehension on the part of my market. Okay? And so I did things like one of my mentors gave me some colossally bad advice. He goes, he says, where they sell Sunday papers? Go down there when the guy isn't looking, put your brochure in all the Sunday papers. Turns out that's not legal. And so I found out, I had to do something, anything, to get a client that I could indoctrinate so heavily that they go out and tell 3 friends. Tell 3 friends, get 1 referral. Now I have 2 clients. Okay, and I bootstrap my way up that way.
Well, that's what I want to hear. That's what I'm doing right now. And
Okay.
I want to do something else.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say find something you know how to do that does generate money, even if it means taking a part-time job. Go out, work like a dog. Keep in mind, I'm doing this for a reason. Set that money aside. Do not spend it on anything else, because that's your seed money, and use it to run one really nice ad in a publication that reaches virtually everybody in your market. I've tried couponing. That doesn't work. Okay? I've tried when I had no money and no prospects, I'd go out and I'd do all these free public appearances. That didn't work because it's the aura of success that draws them in, not the hungry, oh please God, come book an appointment. Okay? But a well-done ad with a powerful testimonial claim in a publication will start to generate calls. And the name of the game is there's a marketing funnel. The way the marketing funnel works is you run an ad and you get 100 responses. Out of those 100 responses, maybe 80 will actually book an evaluation session. Okay, 80% of those may sign up, and so you get down to like 64. Now that's an optimum, but the idea is the marketing funnel looks like this. And your job is to maximize that initial response number. You want as many prospects as you possibly can, and then for one reason or another, people will start to drop out. Oh, I thought this was a left-handed shamanic Roto-Rooter method. Okay, you don't do that? Fine, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Oh, you actually charge for these sessions? What, don't you want to help people? Not you, no. Okay. Oh, it's not demonic possession? They reject themselves, you reject them, and the number continues to dwindle until you get down and you've got out of these 100, maybe you end up with 50 people who are actually signed up for nice, profitable sessions. That's if you start with 100. Obviously, if you start with less than 100, the numbers diminish rapidly. Okay, but your job as a professional marketer is to identify the niche you want to address, the people you want to harvest, and then find the communication method to maximize this top input number. Which is why I say, invite the people. If you wanted to start a freaking donut shop, you would expect to sit down and figure out cold-bloodedly how much money does it cost. And when people start a hypnosis practice, they seem to think that I ought to be able to do it just on my good name and my good intentions. It doesn't work that way. It's a business, people. It's a business. If you want to starve, do it the old-fashioned way. If you want to be a well-paid, well-respected professional, do what well-paid and respected professionals do. Okay.
I think a helpful frame would be to consider yourself a businessman who happens to be a hypnotist.
Exactly. Exactly right. Because if you're not a business person, you're going to fail. Mark?
You said there's ups and downs over the year.
Yeah.
Is there determined any seasonal?
Yeah, January is a real big month. Okay? Because after all, they had just gone through a highly abusive holiday season. Okay? And they look in the mirror and they go, you know what, there appears to be more of me. Okay? Or starting the year, New Year's resolutions, right? We'd run ads talking about, yeah, you just made some resolutions, you like to know how to make them work. Okay? Only hypnosis can help you there. January is a real big month. Okay? If you're going to run an ad any day of the week, run it on Monday. Second possible day is Tuesday. Personally, I wouldn't say there's a third choice. Okay? By Wednesday, they're already starting to think about the weekend. And on the weekend, they're not thinking about self-improvement. They're thinking about self-abuse. Okay? But on Monday, it's back to the grind, examine my life, where am I going, what the hell happened to my goals. You get the highest response for advertising on a Monday. Now, this works, obviously, if you're advertising some kind of daily paper. Okay? If you're going on a monthly, then you're pretty much stuck with whenever they come out. But I can tell you, if it's at all possible, go for a Monday. January's a big month. September's a big month. May's a big month. Okay? May's not quite June, but it's close enough so they realize they're already in trouble for bathing suit season. Okay? Golf season is coming into full swing. Right? All the people who have children who are on the verge of repeating a grade are starting to think about study skills. So yeah, there are some periods that are more lucrative than others. And during the periods where you have high response rates, you can actually reduce your advertising because each individual ad will actually pull more because people are predisposed to respond. Okay? We wouldn't even advertise in December. Makes no point.
November either.
Okay. Yeah, November's a bad one too because the holiday season starts in mid-November. And by the time you're in the holiday season, your primary competition is Toys R Us. Okay?
Tested an insert versus a advertisement in the paper. One where they actually pick it up and,
Yeah, I won't do it. Here's why. You would think that maybe, I'm going to take this out and keep it. No. What do people do with inserts? How many people do you know that sort through their mail or the newspaper over the wastebasket? Right? And the funny thing is, we were running these full-page ads for years, minimum once a month for years, and I would think that everybody in town would not only know who we were, but would have memorized our phone number by now. Our name recognition when we tested it was less than 10% of the readership. Because even though it's this huge honking full-page ad with exclamation points and before and after pictures and fabulous claims, they don't see your ad until they're ready for the service. Okay? But the corollary to that is they don't necessarily respond immediately when they are ready and they see the ad. Okay, a lot of people will see the ad and then call you a month, 2 months later because they kind of worked up to it. Got their nerve up, decided, oh yeah, I really do need to change, had one more traumatic experience, you know? I mean, lady walking around work, somebody comes up, pats in the belly and say, oh, when you do? You know? And they're just 40 pounds overweight. Right? There's some point where it clicks in and they respond, yeah.
We have a publication in San Diego that groups the ads by like topic. Like in one area, there's all the plastic surgeons.
Yeah.
There's like another area, there's like the massage therapists and things like that. And then another place is car ads and stuff. Would you put it more with the holistic people or more with the plastic surgery and doctors?
I would stay out of that section entirely. Okay? Now, if you're going into a publication, you can ask for placement. They'll all go ahead and get that. They will place you exactly where you want, but depending on where you want to be, they'll charge you a different rate. Okay? What we like to be is we like to be in the first section of the newspaper, in the news section. Why? I mean, a lot of people would look at our ads and think that they were a news story. In fact, you can write your ads that way, although most publications will make you put in very, very small print advertisement or put a border around it or something. You've all seen these ads, okay? They look just like a newspaper story, but it has like a black border, very thin black border, and little tiny print that says advertising. But I want it to be in the news section because we stood out there. If you're in the section with 20 other alternative medicine practitioners, what does that tell your prospect about you? You're one of 20. Okay, whereas you run across this in the news section, hey, you're in isolation there. It jumps out. We ended up in the sports section one time and wasted $7,500. Okay, man, I tell you, you talk about anxiety. Spend $7,500 on a full-page newspaper ad and nobody calls. Okay, and how do you know what went wrong? Was it the ad wasn't worded correctly, the testimonials weren't compelling? You don't know without repetition, but we kind of suspected that being next to the muffler shops and the strip clubs probably wasn't the best place to have a hypnosis ad. And so we demanded a little more consideration and got back into the news section, and lo and behold, the calls came back again.
Well, if it's women who are your main clients, they might not be reading the sports.
They're not reading the sports section, that's correct. Okay? Guys, I mean, when guys would come in, it's very rare that a guy would come in for a good reason. Okay? Guys would come in and sit down, I'd take the reporting farm, ask me a question, and say, you know what? I know why you're in here. And they go, well, yeah, I want to testosterone. I go, that's not it. I said, what was it? Your wife, your girlfriend, or your mother? It was my wife. How'd you know? Okay? Most guys get sent to the hypnotist, and women choose to go. Men are simple creatures. You know? I was like, most men just suck it up. Or they'll look in the mirror and they go, looks good on me. Looks manly. Yeah, that's right. Maybe we'll make assumptions about other parts. You never know. Right. Wish for luck. Okay, yeah.
What about a newsletter? You send that to your previous clients?
I should. One of the most important things you can do is maintain contact with your existing clients. Why? They're free. You already got them. You should track in a separate database, a mailing list, all the contact information for all your successful clients, or even people who responded to the ad and chose not to sign up. If there's any way to collect information on them, send them more mailings. You got the name. The most expensive thing in any marketing campaign is the contact information for a prospect. And once you got that, it's like people come to me and say, hey, can I send something to your mailing list now? They come in and go, you want to send it to, because TrueCore's got thousands of names. And I was telling them, no. I mean, I'm not going to give you my freaking wallet and my credit cards, and yet my mailing list is way more valuable than that. Okay, so you want to develop that list, and if at all possible, do a mailing a month. But the mailing has to be something that is informative and useful and free. Okay, now there are companies out there that will let you license content for newsletters. Look around, you can find them. I mean, they do this for a business, and so they write nice, happy, generic articles, and you slap your name and logo on it and send it out. Or for that matter, it's not all that hard to be compelling when you're talking about something you love. So just sit down. It's actually better to write communication to your clients in your colloquial voice than in a professionally written letter. I mean, those of you who like you open up something that's addressed to you personally, okay, and don't use stick-on address labels unless they're like transparent. Try to make it look like you actually sent it to them as an act of will. But you open it up, and here's this professionally produced, professionally written letter, and it's like, geez, it's not a fucking ad. Okay? But if it looks like a letter, sounds like a letter, and it comes from someone they know and trust, they'll read it, and they'll believe it. Yeah. All the research shows that if you actually contact your existing clients once a month, it tends to triple the lifetime value of that client. Yeah.
I do the monthly thing to email, so there's not, even if once you send it to me.
Why, you modern chick? Yeah, okay. It costs you nothing to send email. Nothing. You just have to make sure your provider, I mean, if you get a large mailing list, you have to talk to your provider to make sure that they know that you're not a spammer. Right? And I mean, there's ways around that. You send out individual messages. There are programs that will do that. Instead of sending out one message with an address list of, 3,000 names. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Break it down to 20? There you go, yeah. Or sit up all night going, send, send, send. There's an induction right there. Send, send. Okay, pretty simple, huh? Okay, honest to God, you make a ton of money, yeah.
I have a project suggestion that may be helpful.
Cool.
If you want it.
I do now.
Okay, there's a service available on the internet. It's called Salesforce.com. It's a prospect tracking tool, and basically you put in the contact information for people that will call in and respond to your ads, and you can track them through the different phases of prospect, client, so on and so forth. You can do separate mailings to
Right.
different groups, and it's like, I want to say it's less than $50 a month, so it's not a big expense. All you need is a computer and a web browser. So we use it in our business, and it's a big help. It occurred to me that it may be useful too.
It is great to be able to send mailings to people who are in different levels because you have a prospect letter talking all about benefits and high value versus low cost. As soon as they actually book a session, become a customer, you send a stick letter, which is basically something you send them a week after the first session, talking about how great it is, how obviously you're intelligent because they made the right choice, and pay attention to how many positive changes they've experienced in the past week and all this kind of stuff. And once they're a successful client, you send them letters having to do with additional services, additional opportunities. I mean, we played around things like going ahead and for really successful, very chatty clients, give them a business card. Your company name on it, their name on it, and underneath, instead of a title, it says successful client. Okay? They'll go hand these damn things out. Okay? Hey, look at this. My new business card. Successful client, what does it mean? Oh, yeah, I lost 40 pounds. Blah, blah, blah. We've gone way over where we're supposed to go, so I'm going to have to bring this to a close. But I just want to say thank you very much.